Paddy Shakoya here from Agile TV at the Better Software and Agile Development Conference, Las Vegas, Caesars Palace. And right now I'm honored to be with Patrick Copeland from Google. You know Google, right? Hi, Patrick.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Hi. So, just quickly tell us a little bit about your background and stuff, please.
Well, I started at Google about 6 years ago. I'm an engineering director there, and I run a group called Decision Platforms. I've done a number of things there. I've worked a lot on trying to improve process and trying to improve our productivity. One of the things I've done, I built all the tools, so all the tools that relate to engineering development, IDEs, build, but also tried to work on testing and how that relates to the engineering process. We were able to save a lot of time that was spent previously on tools. Instead of 1 month ship cycles, down to days, sometimes even faster than that. Before that, I was at Microsoft for about 11 years, and so I have a lot of experience kind of working in companies that are trying to do lots of innovation.
Okay, so you talk about innovation there. I mean, everybody knows that Google are an innovative company. How do you create innovation, especially in times like this where it's essential to companies who want to have a competitive edge?
Well, one of the things that I talked about today was a concept called prototyping. And the idea is try to iterate faster, try to test and try to learn as you go. So iterative development, test and iterate, launch and iterate is really one of the mantras at Google. So how can we validate our ideas as we go and try to improve them? Because you don't always hit a home run right out of the gate. And so it's improving on the products that we have and also learning a lot from our customers and listening to them and seeing how they're using our products to do better. And prototyping is one methodology that really helps, and you try to validate your ideas and build confidence in them as you go.
So I mean, you talk about there, kind of learning as you go along. What would you say is the culture like in Google in regards to learning or failure, perceived failure?
Well, it's always a tough thing. I mean, nobody wants to fail. Nobody likes to feel like that they're on a team that's not going to win. And so you always go into a project, wanting to succeed. But you have to have a culture that tolerates some amount of failure, especially if you're going to do a lot of innovation. And so I think that that's a key part of success, is being able to say when to call a project done and when to move on, and when to make those hard calls. But also not make it about the people or the team, and not punish them for it, but just say like, hey, that idea or the way that we implemented it or the time or the situation didn't work so well. And let's regroup, and maybe that idea we'll be able to look at it later. But right now, let's move on and do some other things. So we have to keep on. We can't just have an ever-growing set of projects. We have to stay focused, and from time to time, we'll try to refocus on a smaller set of things that we think are more important to the company. But we try to do that with the team in mind, because you're nothing without having innovative people and feeling like that they're eager to get something done, and their passion is what really makes the product something good. So there's a big psychological element and a big cultural element. The other thing is we try to empower people. And so 20% time is an example of that empowerment, where we're trying to say to engineers, a certain amount of your time is yours, and use it wisely. It's not a duration, so it's not like you just take Friday and do innovation, but you take as much time as you think that you need, and it kind of ebbs and flows at certain points in your year. And you'll take that time to do something that's really creative and interesting that might be out of the product that you're working in, or it may be something that augments the product that isn't formally on the schedule, but something that you think really should get done. And so it's a kind of way of harnessing passion and allowing people to do things that are creative. So that's another way of allowing people to do innovation and kind of fast failing as they go, because they'll learn right away about, hey, this is working, this isn't working.
Okay. So I'm going to ask a question, and hopefully you'll be able to answer it. We all know and see the innovation that's happening in regards to Google, very successful company. What degree of projects would you say don't go the way that you intend to, and how is that addressed and dealt with so that you can seize the opportunities that might come out of those?
So it's hard to judge exactly, how many of them don't work out that way. Google Wave is one example I gave in the talk today. And that team was given a lot of autonomy. We had the project actually in Sydney, so it was intentionally kind of put in a place where there wouldn't be competition with resources. Because people, are attracted and, towards different kinds of projects at different times. And so we tried to give that team a little bit of isolation and kind of a bubble where they could go innovate. Gave them a lot of time and gave them resources. And, with that setup, that's almost like an ideal setup in a lot of ways for an innovator. You'd think, well, hey, that's a perfect. And the issue, though, was that the product, it wasn't the right it. Okay. And so one of the things about prototyping is focusing on building the right it versus building it right.
Okay.
And the whole idea is how do you kind of as a precursor to building what I call a product type or an end product.
Okay.
How do you roll that back earlier in the cycle so you build confidence in your ideas as you go, and then you don't end up having kind of big launches that don't work. How do you test them in microcosm? How could you test them with smaller groups? In doing that, there are a lot of experimentation that we do. So we do a lot of experimentation. We also do a lot of experimentation in our existing products. So on Gmail and on Google Search, at any time, you could be actually running an experiment where we're looking to see kind of what's the usage of these different features if they're placed over here, if they're over here, or we'll introduce things in small amounts and see how they go over time. And so, it's about thinking of failure as kind of part of your process. Like, how could we use failure to our advantage and learn and build confidence and use data to make those decisions too?
Okay. So, the innovative ideas in your organization, where are they driven? Are they top down, bottom down, or does it come from everywhere?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, every company has some potential to innovate. You've got resources, time, money, all kinds of different resources, maybe political power or something to get something done. And then there's kind of a lossy conversion. So there's some function of, the type of methodology that you choose to do that translation or that function, will have a big impact on the type of innovation you can do. So, for instance, top down, where you'd have like a research lab that produces some new kind of innovation, and then you try to push that or productize it into a product, or when the leader is super innovative and their ideas are what's basically permeated through the company. And then there's bottoms up, or what we call entrepreneurial innovation, where you kind of empower many, many people, and you have ways of kind of culling those projects and those ideas, before it becomes chaos. Because on the one hand, you could have complete chaos, and on the other hand, you could be completely top-driven, and you probably need something that's somewhere in the middle of those two. And then there's another type, of innovation where you're harnessing all of those different types, but you're changing the methodology a little bit. So if you're top-down or you're bottoms-up, it's kind of a cliche. It's kind of like a polarization of the conversation, because really what you could do is use things where you're fast failing in either of those models, top-down or bottoms-up. It's like embracing failure is a good thing to do no matter what model.
Okay. So, Google, are you guys Agile? Are you using Agile, should I say?
The thing about Google is that every team has its own flavor. Okay. So some people use a Scrum type of a method. Some people use an Agile. But I think that there's so many shades of Agile and Scrum and everything in between. It's hard to put your finger on exactly what that means anymore. I think the main thing is empower teams to be able to make the right process and development process decisions, and allow them to change those on the fly. I think that's the key thing. So there's no kind of process group that says, here's how you do it. What we try to do is build tools and build feedback systems that help people make decisions really, really quickly. So our build systems are set up to fail immediately on every check-in. So a lot of teams have big screens, in their area where they work, where when they know the build is broken, everybody knows immediately, within seconds of that test breaking. And no matter what method they're using, that's a good thing. So this early feedback cycle. And we've built a lot of tools that give those teams really smart things to be able to take action on. So.
Okay, so it sounds like you guys have got that kind of culture which enables people to work out what's working and be able to contribute in that way and bring whatever their experience to the table.
That's right.
Cool. So what can we expect, without giving away too many of your secrets, what can we expect to see from Google in the future?
Well, I think that we're going to play to our core strengths in a lot of ways. We're definitely trying to improve the search experience. So how could we use more information and more information about the people who are searching to help the search experience improve? That why should you get the same results for a different person? Let's say that we know something about you that's very interesting, like you're a vegetarian.
Okay.
That information would be really useful to use when we're producing our search results for you. Or if you have children. It changes everything about, like if you're planning a vacation, there are certain things you would do as a single person or as a person that's married or as a person that has children. So the more that we can know and personalize the search results, that's a big area that we're thinking about. Another one is social. So how can we enter into the social market and kind of light up all of our applications in a way so that it's not about competing directly head-to-head with other social applications, but it's about making a social experience out of Google, and that's a big area. All of our products have a kind of an innovation edge that they're working on. So Google Docs is starting to take off in the enterprise. We have Google Drive, so now you're able to put any form of file or any form of document and save it and share it and collaborate with people. So there's the higher order bits I think are social, personalization, collaboration, and making our applications easier and more unified. And have a kind of a better total user experience out of that whole package.
Cool. Well, really appreciate your time. Really appreciate the great information that you shared with people about innovation. I'm sure that it's going to be of value to those who are watching, and they can actually utilize that to get some of the outcomes that they want for themselves. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.